It's easier to change a negative perception than it is to create a positive one that has no prior context. If you apply this to prospecting correctly, I can't even begin to tell you how powerful it is. So let me tell you a story. Follow this. Picture yourself living in a neighborhood. Okay? There's a family down the street with a 15-year-old son. And in your mind, this is a bad kid. It's just your perception. Whether it's true or not, it doesn't really matter because it's true to you. Every time this kid drives by your house, he just got his permit. He's always going too fast. He's always up to no good. And that's just the way you view the world with this person. And then picture yourself, it's a Sunday morning, and you're looking out the window, and you see this kid walking past your other neighbor's driveway, who's an elderly woman who lives across the street. So you notice this, and you're looking at him, and you're thinking the worst case scenario. Then you see him start walking towards your mailbox. He's kind of looking up at the house, sort of almost to determine if someone's there is what it looks like to you. So clearly he's going to vandalize the mailbox, right? So you run to go get your phone so you can capture it all in video. So as you get back to the window, you see this kid now. He's walking up towards the front step, and he rings the doorbell. And you don't really know what's going on at this point, but as the door opens, you see his posture changes to something more respectful. And he smiles and he hands the old woman her mail. Your perception of this kid has just been totally disrupted. And your awareness of that is so apparent because of the drastic contrast between what just happened and what you were expecting, okay? And let's reverse the situation. Picture this kid is a good kid, right? That in your mind is a really good kid. And this kind of a thing, you may have noticed it, right? This act of courtesy, right? But it wouldn't have resonated with you the same way because the contrast between what you were expecting and what actually happened isn't drastic enough for you to notice it. So you can actually change a negative perception much more than you can create a positive perception that has no prior context. It's incredible. So what does this all sound like? This is me cold calling a CEO's office and dealing with an executive assistant. Okay. So what does an executive assistant, this is how you apply this to prospecting. What does the executive assistant find annoying? Take a guess. Just take one guess. What do you think an executive assistant's tired of? Trying to get to her boss. I mean, people calling and trying to push through. Treat them like an obstacle, right? What do you think, how many calls do you think an executive assistant gets in a given week? Somebody trying to push through them like an obstacle. A lot. So when these calls start out, they can usually spot them immediately, right? And they almost literally complete the other person's sentences. They're also really tired of, and I can tell you this because I've talked to enough of them. The call I'm going to show you I've made literally thousands of times when I was doing M&A. They always have a sparring match with people. When they call, they try to act like they know the CEO. They don't. And then they try to get the CEO's email address. I can't give you that. Then there's a sparring match that follows, right? Listen.
Kevin's office?
Hi, my name's Greg Woodward. I'm a consultant based in DC. Do you have a minute? I'm just calling with a question.
Sure. Does he have a minute?
No, you're fine. Do you have a minute?
Oh, sure. Sure.
Okay, well, the reason I'm calling, I'd like to send over what I have. It's called a request for expression of interest. It's a one-page summary about a development partnership that my firm seeks to establish with a company in your space. Mm-hmm. It just has enough information on it to see whether or not it's something Kevin would be interested in chatting with me about.
Okay, so where we are right now in the call, what has happened differently? In the beginning of the call, I was extremely upfront with the assistant about exactly why I was calling. I'm calling with a question, and then I asked if she had a minute. People don't do that with assistants, right? And because it's such a drastic contrast, you heard the assistant say, "Oh, I'm sorry, does Kevin have a minute?" And I'm like, no, you're fine. I'm calling for you. Oh, okay, yeah, sure, I have a minute, right? And then I explained very clearly what it is I'm trying to send. Okay, so now the assistant, what is going through the assistant's mind? This is starting to look like a familiar pattern again, even though I was drastically different in the beginning. The assistant is now thinking, okay, here we go. This is the CEO of a company with 5,000 employees. Okay, here we go. He's going to ask me for the assistant's, or he's going to ask me for the CEO's email address, and then I'm going to have a sparring match. I can't provide that. Oh, I don't want to send it to you because it's confidential.
I'm wondering if that's something I could send over to you.
Sure. Yeah, sure. My email is at .com.
Okay. Kelly@.com.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And your
Okay.
name is, okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. I'll send that over in a few minutes. Would you
Okay.
mind if I touch base in a few days
Sure.
to see if it's something that,
Yeah. Yeah, sure.
okay. Okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Thanks. Great. Thanks. Have a great weekend.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you too.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, I never get that, oh, we'll let you know of interested response. Because right before that, right when they were thinking, okay, now here we go with the sparring match, I'm like, is that something I can send over to you? That's the drastic opposite of what they were expecting. So then they're like, oh, sure, yeah, you can send it to me. Give me the email address, no hesitation. And then I say, well, look, can I give you a call back in a couple days to see if you've had a chance to take a look? Here's what normally happens. Of course, they say yes to that as opposed to the normal response. He'll let you know if interested. I've done this enough to see the pattern. This is what happens. The assistant will actually print out what I'm sending and physically take it into the person's office and put it on their desk. Most of the time.